Hey folks, happy Thursday to you. Thursday, January 21st. We continue our pastor's devotional using our January prayer calendar. And here we are today in the book of Colossians. Now, the encouragement from our prayer ministry is that we would be writing these scriptures down. So one of my practices is each time I record one of these video devotionals, then immediately after I go to my journal, write the passage down. So today we're in Colossians. Invite you to find that book in your New Testament. It's towards the back of the New Testament. Could be difficult to find. It's only it's only about 3 pages long. So right after Philippians, right before Thessalonians. As you're going there, and I don't remember if I've shared about the book of Colossians, sort of the general sense of the book of Colossians before, but it's one of, we believe, the older of the, older, younger, how do we describe this? It's one of the latest written books in the New Testament. So Jesus died in 33, and as you go farther in time, you have books or letters that are written, and it's one of the latest ones that is written. And the reason we believe this is because some of what is referenced, particular things that are referenced, and we can sort of see what was going on in the world in that time. Also, it's very advanced Greek. And written, all the New Testament's written in Greek, but this is very advanced Greek. Someone who's very educated is writing this. And it is also very advanced in its theological development. So early on in New Testament times, and I've said this many times, they thought Jesus was coming back like next Wednesday. And so they didn't have to explain a lot about what if you die between now and then, and do those who die, that if they're of faith, do they get raised before those of us who are still alive when Jesus comes back? Right? There wasn't all those kinds of questions because it was like, hey, gather in a room, quit your jobs and share everything you have, and worship and pray together and break bread every day and share everything you have. He's coming back. And then he doesn't come back, and time elapses, and then some of those faithful, they die. And other of those faithful, they lose their faith. And so then there's a whole round of other questions that have to do only with importance for people who are somewhat distanced from the death of Christ, which suggests that the book is written later. And the book is largely written to a Gentile Christian community as well. And so there are those issues with the book. So I just wanted you to hear a little bit of that. We're going to hear some of that today, really sort of developed theology and philosophical understanding of what's happening. So Colossians chapter 3 is where we are. Colossians chapter 3. Let me turn the page because I'm in Colossians chapter 2 right now. Verses 12 through 15. I'm going to read this. As God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. Bear with one another, and if anyone has complaint against another, forgive each other, just as the Lord has forgiven you. So you also must forgive. Above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. And let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you are called in one body, and be thankful. Wow, what thanksgiving, forgiveness, kindness, humility, meekness, patience, love, bearing with one another. What a beautiful way of thinking about living in community with one another. I can't help but I'm recording this on Wednesday afternoon to be released Thursday morning, and so the inauguration of President Biden and Vice President Harris happened today. In yesterday's devotional, I shared and prayed, encouraged us to pray for peace and safety and Here we are, it's mid-afternoon on Wednesday, and it seems like there has not been, or at least there hasn't been that I have heard, places of violence in relationship to the inauguration. So I'm so thankful for that. And this sentiment of living together in unity and harmony and humility really spoke to me in President Biden's inaugural address. And no matter what your politics are, certainly our Christian faith calls us to be in unity with one another. And so we hope that could bleed over into our nation, certainly. But Paul isn't talking about politics. Paul isn't talking about Democrats and Republicans and President Trump and President Biden and all of that. Paul is talking to a group of people who, some that were Jewish and then became Christian, some that were Gentile and then became Christian. So they have very different backgrounds from one another. Then some of those people fell away from their Christianity when during this time, and some of those who fell away have come back. And so you've got multiple different groups of people within the Christian church in Colossia, and they are at odds with one another and finding themselves arguing who's more faithful or who could be a leader or who could do this. And Paul writes to them this message that they ought to clothe themselves with compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience, bear with one another, have no complaints, forgive when there are complaints, to love. And so his encouragement to that group of people, fortunately, is one of those scriptures that continues to speak to us all of these days later. And so maybe this is a time of unity. Unity with maybe there's some situation in your life where there's not unity. And now's the time to work through that relationship, to bring healing and wholeness into that place. I can think of a couple places in my own life where I could do a better job of being clothed with compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. May God's grace be with each of us as we try to attain the high calling of living according to these words. God bless you. Have a great day.